different group than anybody else might be Little Al's advantage.
Closing rate at a half a second a lap on Nigel Mansell by Al Unser Jr. And we said that speed limit might affect the outcome of this race. Now they're reporting that they're going to black flag Scott Goodyear for exceeding the speed limit in the pit. So we'll look for that flag as well.
Those kind of speed limits in the pit are tough on the drivers. These guys are so keyed up come race day, they're wired for going fast. Then all of a sudden when they're told to go fast in the pits, it's very difficult. And even though it's necessary to do, it's very definitely hard on them, Paul.
So if in fact they black flag Scott Goodyear, that won't give Paul Tracy much breathing room at all, because Nigel Mansell is just 3 seconds back. Jack Arute, you have an update?
Yes, Paul. Scott Goodyear exceeded the speed limit entering his pit area. That's the reason for the stop and go. An update on the discussion as well as he undergoes the penalty. At the drivers' meeting, it was originally suggested the speed limit be placed at 90 miles an hour. That was agreed to by the IndyCar officials, car owners, and mechanics. The drivers lobbied and succeeded in getting the limit lowered to 70. Now you see what's happened.
Scott Goodyear fell to 4th place on that stop-and-go penalty and still has to come up to speed as Mario Andretti comes up behind him, and that makes this a fight for position. So Mario Andretti has the car that he needs to pass in front of him to get into 4th place. And Scott Goodyear, of course, is on fresh tires, while Mario Andretti's are up to full operating temperature.
Both Lola Fords. Both Lola Fords and the one right behind, same thing.
In previous years here, before they reconfigured the track, the winner often enjoyed a big margin at the end of the race. Now, the last 3 years, the margin has been 1.7 seconds, 3.8, and last year, just 0.6 of a second. So the reconfiguring of this great, historic Long Beach track has made a terrific difference. Here comes Little Al down the outside.
Al Unser Jr. looking for room.
Whoa!
Comes around to the inside, kind of tries to fake Mansell to one side, and he touches him. He touches Mansell, and you see the suspension drop on the back of Mansell's car. It looks like there is damage there.
A Little Al's car. The left front is bent. He's out of the race. Just a little touch like that sometimes bends him completely. That's the same place the Little Al touched Mario Andretti a couple of years ago. Same turn.
And an ongoing fight for second place there. Now Paul Tracy does have some breathing room, especially as we have to keep watch on Mansell's car. Little Al climbs out of the car, obviously not injured, but there's damage there. Nigel Mansell may also have damage. We look at it again. Here they come into the corner. Little Al looking for room. He set him up on this. They get together. It's hard to believe that Mansell's car doesn't have a problem too.
Well, it's on the rear. The rear's a lot stronger than the front, Paul. And the thing about it was that Little Al should have known that Mansell can't see him. That's in that blind spot of the cars, and Mansell had to be looking to the left. Little Al could have passed him on the outside. The road is just not wide enough.
Well, if it's going to affect Nigel, it hasn't appeared yet. Look at the way that lower control arm, to keep an eye on that. Might be a slight bend to that on Nigel Mansell's car. So Paul Tracy is out in front of this run. Now Nigel Mansell is up into 2nd place, and Scott Goodyear comes back up to 3rd place, while Mario Andretti sits in 4th. Boycell is 5th. We'll be back after this message and a word from your ABC station.
The Toyota Grand Prix is brought to you by Goodyear, #1 in tires. By your local Yamaha dealer, who invites you to see their exciting line of motorcycles, ATVs, and water vehicles. By Sears Craftsman, a line of 1,600 hand tools made in America. And by Armor All. There is a fountain of youth, and we own the patent.
Back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, where Nigel Mansell is still the leader here, followed by Roberto Guerrero. Don't forget, coming up next month, ABC Sports heads to the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, for the greatest spectacle in racing. Saturday, May 15th, we'll begin live coverage of the Indianapolis time trials. And then on May 30th, it's the Indianapolis 500, live next month here on ABC. Al Unser Jr., the defending champion there. And the Speedway just this week announcing that there's going to be 2 great races for you in 94. On August 6th of 94, the Brickyard 400 for NASCAR, the Winston Cup cars. The phones were flooded at the Speedway, like 70,000 calls asking about seats and everything the minute that they made that announcement. Let's go to the pits.
Al, obviously great disappointment. Tell us what happened as you battled for that position.
Well, Nigel and we were running together, and he's just blocking very, very well, I guess, you know. And then I got him. He got a little bit too much blocking me on the inside going into turn 1. Put him on the outside of turn 2 entry, and it screwed him up a little bit. I was set up for it, and I did him on the outside. And then when we came off of turn 2 exit, he squeezed me against the wall.
Did you think you had him cleanly passed?
I had him covered. He knows exactly where I am when I'm behind him, but as soon as I got beside him, he lost where I was. So, which is BS. The guy, you know, what can I say?
All right.
We'll handle it.
Thank you, Al.
Al Unser Jr., his first DNF here at Long Beach since 1985. Pretty disappointed, Bobby.
Yes, I know he's very disappointed. You know, they've had such a hard time getting that car worked. The whole Gallus crew, they're all going to be so disappointed, along with little Al, because it's the first time this year they've had anything fast at all.
Yeah, but if it's working here, how's it going to work at Indy?
Well, what they've learned here will help every place because they've been so far behind, non-competitive at Phoenix by a long way. This is definitely a step forward for them.
Nigel Mansell now leads Guerrero by about 7.5 seconds. Oddly enough, that is the biggest lead that we have seen in the last 30 to 40 laps.
Behind Mario Andretti there is Eddie Cheever and Scott Pruitt, a battle for 9th place. Raul Boisel, who runs in 4th place right now, is trying to catch up to Mario Andretti. But he's got that other battle in between him, and those two guys aren't going to let up.
Of course, Boisel was 2nd and Andretti 1st at Phoenix 2 weeks ago. So this race in some ways, although very different, is starting to shake out with maybe headed toward the same sort of result.
You see Emerson Fittipaldi, there he is in the midst of all of this. Remember, he's about 4 laps behind the race. Early on, they changed the turbocharger component, and as a result, he had a long pit stop. Boisel now is trying to work his way forward as he splits up Scott Pruitt and Eddie Cheever and tries to chase Mario Andretti.
Boisel's been a guy that we've been watching all weekend, Paul, that's really been fast through some of the turns, really fast during the day at the end of the practice day. He's been struggling all of this race trying to get up. He's always there, but not quite having any luck going along with it. He's in the golden brown car right there, the number 9 car.
71 laps of the scheduled 105 lap distance, 167 miles, as Robbie Gordon in the midst of all that in trouble again, and he touches Cheever. Then Fittipaldi stacks the brakes, so does Pruitt. And Ari Lyondike comes to a stop in this turn. Is badly crowded now. They'll have to take incredible care. Yellow flags, I'm sure, flying all the way down Seaside. You can see these course marshals here. By the way, the course marshals are all volunteers, and they take incredible chances to try to keep this race going. They're here all week, and they do a magnificent job, as you see they're doing now. Lyondike trying to get going, looking for help. He needs somebody to push him forward so he can get back into the run.
We just sat here and we can grunt for him, you know. I mean, he needs to get going. Unfortunately, this hairpin turn is so narrow and so hard to get through.
Here comes Mansell.
The tracks get blocked.
Mansell comes in, tries an inside line very carefully through the corner. Of course, the yellow flag is there, but still there's plenty of debris down there, and those cars are in the way.
You know, one of the biggest problems, Paul, is like you said, they don't want to run over anything.
So with lap 72 complete, Nigel Mansell heads for the pit area. He runs in the lead of this race. Gary Gerald, you there?